Headphones. You get headphone hair. It makes it all stick up.
We love a headphone hair. It's got to be good. And welcome to another edition, Headphone Hair or Otherwise, with Andrew Eborn and my incredibly special guest, the fabulous Mike Reed. How are you, Mike?
I'm very good. I'm just admiring your tartan top. Are you lumberjacking after this?
I thought, you know what it's like? I thought today being National Nut Day, I thought I'd celebrate. And I loved your John Cooper Clarke on the radio today. It's always good. You do John Cooper Clarke better than John Cooper Clarke.
The thing about John Cooper Clarke is he doesn't go up and down. He stays on the same line all the time like that, you see. And the thing with John Cooper Clarke, he swears a lot. So try and avoid doing that as well. He throws in the odd F word as he's going just to keep the public's attention. It's great, but he stays on. They all have styles. Like Roger McGough, when Roger talks, he does his poetry like that in little bursts. There's a few words at a time like that. He does it. That's his style. John Cooper Clarke does it in a line, straight in a line like that, never goes up or down. So, yeah, they all have their own styles of reading. You know, when people read poetry, people always think you've got to declaim, I wandered lonely as a cloud. But, I think if you make it more interesting, it can be more fun.
Oh, no, absolutely. And instantly recognizable. It's not like an artist with their particular style. You can tell the certain delivery. And what I love is that you're a bit of a poet yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, I do write a few poems here and there. Yeah, I've had quite a few books of poems out, actually, from juvenilia onwards. But yeah, I enjoy it. I mean, it's difficult to know when you're a songwriter as well, when a poem becomes a song or when a song turns into just a poem because the melody is not very good. So yeah, you can. I mean, yeah, if you're writing poetry, sometimes if you write songs, a melody will come into your head. And I have poems that I've written that I have little melodies for that I've never used, but yeah, it can be a crossover.
And it's always the way, we're always talking about creativity on the show. And I say, if you go into a classroom of 5-year-olds and say, who can paint? Every single hand goes up in the room. They're all, yes, we can all paint. You go into a room of adults and say, who can paint? And you'll be lucky if one hand gets up there. And I think we lose that sort of acknowledgement that we should be creating, we should be writing, we should be painting, we should be composing, because there's something in everybody, isn't there?
Yeah, I think people do have inhibitions though, and we're like, oh no, I'm not very good at that. Oh no, we're all slightly self-deprecating in some cases, quite realistically. But we can't all be good at everything. I think it's good to identify the things that you can do, or indeed the things that you enjoy doing, things you have a passion for, and do those. I find when I've done gigs in various places, it's often the special needs kids that have no inhibitions whatsoever. They'll come straight up and hug you and dance straight away. You get the guitar out, they're dancing, whereas people like us, we go, no, I can't dance. Nobody else on the dance floor yet. I'm not going to do that yet. But so it's great. We do have inhibitions, and because we are English after all.
Oh, well, quite. Do you like a dance? I've seen you.
I'm hopeless. I am hopeless. When I was a kid, we had dancing classes in our house, and Julie Andrews' mum, Auntie Barbara, and her Auntie Joan, would do the dancing classes. Auntie Barbara would play the piano. Auntie Joan would do the instruction of the dancing. So I was tap dancing, shuffle, hop, step, toe, heel, ball change from the age of about 4. And I had dancing lessons, all my life. My mother paid for dancing classes. I was hopeless. I remain hopeless. I think I'm deliberately hopeless. I don't think I actually wanted to learn, really. Wow. I think I was clumsy. You go to a ball or something, and my mother would flare her nostrils and say, "You will ask your mother to dance." And teenager, I get up and I clump around in my size 12s, and she'd say, all right, I get the picture, sit down. So I've never been very good. Well, I like to get into the middle of the crowd. I like to get into it.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm there doing my John Revolting. I'm doing all that sort of stuff. It's got to be good. And we also worked on the basis that when I was 3, I got sent along to ballet lessons. Can you believe?
Yes, I can believe that, actually. Because you were already 6'4" at the age of 3.
I was.
But ballet's good. It's good for your poise. It's good for you. I remember where I grew up locally, there's a guy who's known as he's a pretty sort of tough nut, and he went to ballet lessons, and nobody said a thing. They didn't dare. So no, I think I mean, it's probably, I love being on stage from an early age in amateur things and kids things and concert parties, because it gave you a sense of teamwork, working with other people. You learned how to project your voice on stage. You learn how to put yourself over and not be too boring on stage. Good for learning your lines and retention as well. and good for your confidence. So I think things like that are good. People often say, "Oh, I only did amateur dramatics," but I think it's good. It's all good training.
I think anything is great. And that's what I love. I was a trustee of the Suzuki method of teaching children. And the way that you do it, they encourage them very early on. Firstly, the parents had to learn. So I learned to play the violin when I was really much older, but enough to have kids. And they sort of turn around, and you have to, first thing you do is do a performance. They teach you Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And you might remember Shinichi Suzuki famously had all those 3-year-old Japanese kids. They were on tiny little violins playing Twinkle,
Right.
Twinkle, Little Star. It's quite sensational to see.
It is, and of course, as a kid, when you're doing stuff, you're mortified when things go wrong. I was dancing once, I got left behind. And you're mortified, you're embarrassed. But of course, what you don't realize is that the adults think it's hilarious and very, very cute when things go wrong. The dance troupe on stage is a little one at the end who's all behind the others and is embarrassed because she is, but the parents are loving it. So it's when things go wrong and you don't realize that as a kid. You take it all terribly seriously.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what we do. And this is the interesting thing. We always talk about success, but we very rarely talk about the failure that led to that success, which is a beautiful segue into announcing the fact that I'm delighted that, having had some phenomenal success with the first book of Failure, we've now got the second edition, and a certain Mike Reed has very generously written a foreword. Tell me about that.
Well, what went wrong? You wrote a book about failure that was successful. Surely that's not right at all. I mean,
the book of Failure flew off the shelves. It did. It's gotta be.
No, what you should do is have a big, immediately the day it comes out, have a big box that says remaindered and put them all in there and put them in the shop. Yeah, definitely. Yes, I'm delighted to contribute. Anyone that's asked to write the introduction and the foreword to a book of failure is, I'm not too sure how to take that. Yes, a book of failure. We're looking for ideal person to write the introduction. Yes, no, it was a delight to do, and I did it when you asked me straight away. Otherwise, I put it on the back burner and go, oh, gosh, I meant to do that. Always good to get it done straight away, but as long as you were pleased with it.
Oh, delighted. You are one of the most efficient men in showbiz because you just do stuff and you have so many different things. But what I loved about the timing of this, we released the first edition of the Book of Failure on my birthday, the 7th of July. Now it's the perfect time because 21st of October, yesterday, was the Back to the Future Day, and we talk about DeLorean in the book. We've got the election coming up, and Trump and good old Sleepy Joe Biden as well. That's all coming up on November the 3rd, and of course it's Halloween as well. So there is no better time to celebrate the wonderful failures in the world. But the message is this: that we have to celebrate the failures because without those failures, there wouldn't be success.
People always say, don't they, when they failed at sport, I'm learning from this, I'm taking something away from it. Whether you do or not, or whether you're just down in the dumps, I don't know. But I remember driving one of the first Sinclair C5s at TV Centre when Clive Sinclair turned up. And Bill Cotton Jr. and Clive Sinclair and myself drove 3 of them around the circular bit at TV Centre having C5 races. And I sat in one and I thought, how vulnerable would I feel in traffic? With great lorries tanking past you at like 80 miles an hour, and you're pottering along, and there's it was like a Velocette motorcycle with a bit of covering around it. I thought, I'm really not sure I'd want to go on a road in one of those. Fun off-road, but and now when you have things like quad bikes, which are more robust, tank along a bit faster, but you've got to do that. You've got to come up. Our inventors. I mean, we've invented more than 80%, of the world's inventions. Repetition, but we've come up with more than 80% of the world's inventions, and we're very, very good at it. And of that, disproportionately, Scotland are terrific inventors of that 80-odd%. So we're very, very good. We should actually portion the world out more. We should be the inventors. The Swiss can bank the money. The Chinese can make it. Maybe the Americans can sell it. We should work like that as a team, really, I think.
Well, yeah, we could have a Swiss Army wife, couldn't we, who could help do everything as well. They could look after our money in the glorious way. But I always say, if necessity is the mother of invention, then failure is the father of success. And you're right. We have to, just in the same way as people should be writing and painting and drawing and trying things. It's by trying things that we actually can get new things discovered.
Yeah, it is. And I think that always inspires people to see other people actually trying, making an effort, attempting something, doing something. We've always been very, very good at that. And I think it's good to inspire. I love it when somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, it's because of you I got into this." I find that very emotional. And I think when you do things and people say, "I can't believe you've written 41 books. I can't believe you've done that." And I said, "Well, it's not to show off. I'm not saying to you, but it's to inspire other people to think, well, actually, I could do it." It's people writing books, as we know. So many people said to me, "I'm thinking about writing a book." And I said, "Well, we'll do it." And I tried to encourage and say, and they said, "Well, I'm worried. I'm on the first page and I don't know what to do." And I said, "Just take the ideas and throw them down like you're on a canvas and think about them afterwards." So I think for a lot of people, it's that blank sheet of paper worry, isn't it? Whether you're writing a song, a poem, writing a book, writing a story, coming up with an idea for TV. They're worried about writing those first words on the blank sheet of paper. But I always say you don't have to start at the beginning. You can start in the middle, at the end, anywhere else, and then work sideways and backwards. A bit like a jigsaw. There's no particular start point.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love is it's now 41 and a quarter books with the wonderful introduction to the Andrew Eborn Book of Failure. So it's always a joy. Mike, thank you so much for that. The Andrew Eborn Book of Failure second edition is available in all good bookshops and a few dodgy ones as well. Get your copy now. But for now, Mike Reed, thank you for joining me.
Look in the remainder basket.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.